Hey guys, I haven't done one of these in a while where I try to do, things that make me uncomfortable. I haven't made a video, but I have been doing these things. So I actually had a massive breakthrough on Saturday night, because on Saturday night I had no friends in town and no family, because I lived with my parents and they were gone. So I decided, why not go out on the town on my lonesome? So that's what I did. And I was a little bit hesitant at first, but I didn't put pressure on myself to do it. I was just like, yeah, if I feel like it, I'll do it. And I was like, you know what, I'll go 7-Eleven, I'll pick up some cigarettes, some Zins, or I've already had some Zins, some cigarettes and some alcohol. And I was like, all right, well, I'll talk to this guy here, get a little momentum going. Asked him about the alcohol I bought, because it's something I'd never had before. And it was not much of a conversation, but it got that ball rolling, right? And but this happened before I learned the term social momentum. I learned that yesterday, where I guess which makes sense because this is what I experienced Saturday night. But the more you kind of talk to people, the easier it gets, and the more you're able to do it without thinking. You're not in your head about it, you're not anxious. And so that's what I was doing. I didn't realize at the time, but I was building this social momentum. So I started with that, and then I went to Chipotle, and I told the cashier, I was like, yeah, I'm excited to go smoke these cigarettes that I just bought. And because he asked me what I was doing, and that's something maybe I wouldn't have normally just said to a cashier. And so then that kind of broke me out a little bit of, because there's always barriers on what you feel like you're allowed to say to people, right? But there's actually not. You can actually pretty much say whatever, as long as you read the room a little bit. But this was just some high school dude. He's not gonna, he's probably gonna think that's funny. So yeah, and then I went to the gas station and I spilled some gas on the floor of the gas station. And so I was like, normally every other time I've done that, I just drive away. I'm like, ugh. Even though I think they're supposed to clean, you're supposed to tell someone. And so I'm like, okay, well this time I'll tell someone. And so I told the gas attendant, and he really didn't give a shit. He was like, oh no, you spilled gas on my floor. I was like, yeah, sorry dude. And I was like, yeah man, that's gas that could have been in my car. And he's like, well, you want $1? Give you $1. I'm like, that's okay. I don't need your $1. Anyway, just funny little interactions where you're not stressing about what you're saying. They're 2 seconds, but it builds that momentum. And it's crazy how effective this is. And then I got to Portland and I found a parking spot. And it was on the street, so I had to parallel park my truck, but it was kind of a tight spot. And so I'm cranking my wheel trying to get into it, and there's a group walking by. I'm like, guys, am I gonna make this? And then they start helping me back in, and I probably wouldn't have been able to back in without them, to be honest, but normally that's what I would have just tried to do. I don't want to bother these people, blah blah blah, excuses. But I decided to, and it only happens when you don't even think before you say it. If you think for even a second, you're not gonna say it. That's what I've found. And it's also the more you think about saying, the more anxious you get, and then, oh, this guy's doing a wheelie. And then that results in the conversation maybe not being as natural. And so yeah, that's how it went. And then I just went out of the street by myself, talked to just random people on the street, just little conversations. I was outside of Voodoo Donuts and there was a guy standing there. I'm like, oh, there was people, it was late at night and there was people in line. I'm like, dude, how late is this open? Just random things that you have, I have questions about that I normally wouldn't bother asking anyone, or I'd figure it out myself just so I didn't have to talk to anyone. And then I just did that with like a bunch of different people, and you know, nothing was more than like 30 seconds, but that's all you need. And like, I even talked to there's a couple girls getting into a car, and I'm like, are you guys sober enough to drive right now? Do I need to breathalyze you? And they were like, yeah, you can breathalyze me. I was like, oh, you called my bluff. Anyway, all these little interactions, they get easier and easier, and then you don't even need to think about it. You just see something and you just say whatever comes to your mind. And then I went into the bar after that and had an awesome time. I was just going around the dance floor, and I came across, you know, some other people that were there by themselves, and even a couple other groups, and I just danced with them, made some friends with these German guys, and we had a great time. We were dancing, we went out, had a smoke break, and these other girls came out and started talking to us. Ended up getting one of their numbers, and then we went back to the bar, danced some more. There was this dance circle with black guys. There was a black guy dance circle, and my German buddies went up to get a drink at the bar, and I somehow integrated into this dance circle. And you know, I was in my flow that night, right? I'm busting out all the moves, and even moves I never even knew I did or could do. And so I get into the middle of this dance circle. I'm in the middle of it, and I'm busting it down, and they're hyping me up. I felt like a white boy with motion at that moment. And then I hop out of it, and they're trying to pull other people in, and no one wants to get in the middle anymore. I guess moves were just too good, or I just was embarrassed myself so bad that it cringed everyone else out, and they couldn't handle it. That's possible. But I think about that, and I was like, damn, I can't believe I did that. And then my German buddies came back, and then we went outside again to smoke, and this bitch, like, well, okay, she is a bitch, because she came up to my friend and like tried to pull the zin out of his mouth. She's like, get that zin out of your mouth, and reached in his mouth, and then he called her a bitch, and she was like on drugs or something. Probably was a stripper. She gave that vibe, or like a hooker, and she fucking slapped him. And then they get into this argument. Oh, it goes on and on. I'm like, okay, this is stupid. And then she like leaves and then circles back and then slaps him again, and then tries to choke the other German guy. They were brothers, older and younger brother. Tries to choke the older brother, and it's like, holy shit! I thought we were about to get into a fight right here, but it was just this one retarded bitch versus everyone else. And so eventually she leaves, and we go on with our night. They were gonna go to the strip club. I was like, I'm gonna go home. I got work tomorrow. And yeah, and that's how it went. And it's just, you know, I would have never guessed how that night would have gone if I tried to predict it. You know, if you try to like control all your conversations and outcomes, it ruins everything. You get too in your head, and you're trying to plan everything out, and nothing's ever going to go according to plan. And so it's way more fun if you can just flow with whatever happens. And it was honestly one of probably a changing, or a pivotal moment in my life, because I would have never expected myself to be able to go out and do that and be social all alone. Because I was far more social alone than I've ever been when I've gone out with friends. Even though something inside me feels like I need my friends there in order to show my personality to others, which turns out I really don't. You just gotta get that social momentum, guys. So that might yeah, I might have to keep using that strategy, because damn, it was a fun night. Something I probably needed. So thanks guys for watching. It was a long video, but I hope you got something out of it. So I'm at Panera Bread. I'm gonna go get my free coffee because I have connections. So thanks for watching. Goodbye.